part in our Dance Studies Exam Readiness video series. I'm Carla Yun, and today we will be looking at question 8, the last question of the question paper on the prescribed choreographer. Okay, so just as we spoke about that prescribed list in the previous question, in question 7, remember you're going to use that same list here for question 8. You are going to select the choreographer, whether South African or international. You're going to select the one that you have studied in class. And also in this video, remember all of you have studied different choreographers and different dance works. So this particular video is just going to outline the main sections or the main areas that you need to know in order to answer this question. Okay guys, so question 9, this is a learning question. It's the shortest question of all of the questions in section B. It's worth 15 marks. And for this one, you either know those facts or you don't. So you need to be able to recall the biographical information of the choreographer that you have studied. Right, so let's go to our little breakdown, our bulleted list of all of the areas that you need to know in order to answer this question. So, firstly, you need to be able to talk about the choreographer's background and early training. Secondly, you need to be able to talk about their career and any awards or recognition that they have received within their career. Thirdly, you need to be able to talk about the style and the characteristics of their work or their choreographies. And then lastly, you need to be able to talk about their contribution. What has their contribution been to dance, and for some of them, broader society? So again, it's about the choreographer's history. Remember we spoke about that when we spoke about history and literacy in section 5. So we said all of the history and all of the choreographer's background is going to influence the kind of art that they create. Right, so let's look at that bulleted list now a little bit more in detail. What are some of the things that you need to know under each one of those headings? Alright, so let's look at background and training first. So what are the things that you need to know here? So you need to know where they're from, where they grew up, so place in other words. In terms of their date of birth, you don't necessarily need to know the exact day and month. But you do need to know what period they find themselves in history. So it would be useful to know the year of their birth. In terms of their early training, you need to be able to talk about when they started dancing. What kind of dance did they do? Did they have easy access to classes? Was access not available? Were they supported by their parents or not supported? In some cases, you can even mention the teachers they've trained with, because remember, all of these things are going to influence the work that they later create. Then when we're looking at the choreographer's career, you're looking at what have they done as an artist. So it would be things like companies that they are associated with. Remember, some of the choreographers even have their own dance company. And most of them also start out as dancers first before they actually become choreographers. So who were their teachers in their career? Who were their mentors? Who were the influential people? Or maybe there are fellow choreographers or collaborators that have formed a big part of their career. Also in their career, you're looking at their achievements. So what awards have they received? Have they received any recognition for their work and their contribution? And then lastly, you're also looking at what dance works have they choreographed. So besides the one that you have studied, what are some of the other dance works that they have created in their career? Then you're looking at the style and the characteristics of their work or their choreographies. Okay, so this one is a little bit difficult because you've most probably only seen one of their works. So you're only going to be able to talk about the style and the characteristics of the one that you have seen. Unless, of course, you've seen more than one. But what are some of the things that you are going to mention here? So in terms of the style of their work, you're going to be talking about the movement vocabulary. So when you think of a choreographer, what is their signature thing? When you watch their work, how do you know it's that particular choreographer's work? A lot of the times it's to do with the movement vocabulary, the type of movements that they include in their work. So is it a particular genre? Is it a blend of styles? So what kinds of movements do they use, or movement language? Sometimes we use the word movement language. What kind of movements do they use in their work? Secondly, you can talk about the choreographic process. So how do they go about choreographing? Some choreographers, they work through improvisation and workshopping. So they actually create the material with their dancers. Other choreographers set all the movements themselves. So the choreographer that you have studied, how do they go about choreographing? What is their process? And then lastly, you're going to look at the themes that they choose. So remember, we spoke about influences earlier on when we looked at background and training as well as career. Remember, all of those things are going to influence the kinds of work that the choreographer creates. So remember, those influences could also affect the kinds of themes that come out in their work. So some choreographers use political themes because that's the kind of statement that they want to make through their art or through their dance. Some of them choose socially relevant themes, so things that are happening right now. Some of them are creating art for the sake of art, so for the beauty of art. And some choreographers, if you look over the span of their different works, there might be a few varied kinds of themes there. So what sort of themes, or maybe you're just looking at the theme in the particular work that you have studied, what kind of themes does the choreographer use in their work? And then lastly, and I think this is the most important one, you're looking at their contribution. So what have they done for dance? Why are they relevant? It again comes back to that thing about relevance. We've spoken about this quite a few times in some of the other questions as well. So what have they done? What have they contributed? So what are the sorts of things you're going to be talking about here? So have they maybe created dance schools or dance companies? Have they even created outreach programs? So for some choreographers, they might have created all of those things, and that is actually their legacy. That is what their students are now carrying forward if they are no longer there. Have they contributed to job creation for artists? Have they given new opportunities to younger artists or nurtured new choreographers? Are they using dance as a tool to create awareness around important issues? So maybe these are political issues, maybe it's social issues, social injustices, discrimination, etc., etc. So perhaps they are using dance as a vehicle to create awareness or even as a form of activism. Guys, and that's it. That's literally all that you need to know in order to answer this question. So if you look at it, there were 4 different categories. If you know, for example, 3 facts from each of those categories, that's already 12 things that you know. That's already 12 out of the 15 marks. You can do the math. So remember, when you're revising for not only this question, for your exam as a whole, it's also about prioritizing. You're not going to be able to remember everything. You're not going to be able to recall all of the facts. So when you are studying, it's about prioritizing which are the important sections for me to cover and to revise and spend more time on, and which sections am I not going to spend that much time on. Remember, you've also got to be smart when you're studying. Think about how much time you have to revise. Think about all of the sections that you need to revise and prioritize the ones that are the most important. That wraps up question 8, and it also wraps up our entire video series. It has been such a pleasure to be on this journey with you as you prepare for your exam, and I just want to wish you all of the best. Guys, you've got this. Seriously. You've done all of your revision, you've gone through the videos, you've prepped, you've put in all of those hours. So now it's just about smashing that final exam paper. Do let us know what you thought about this video series. You can let us know in the comment section below. Did you find it helpful? Was it useful or not? Maybe you have suggestions about another video series that you'd like to see. So what sort of content would you like to see on this channel? Do let us know down in the comment section below. Right, and that's it from me. All the best. Bye. chair feels a bit. This chair higher than normal. Okay, my tea. Start the video like that. Hey guys, and welcome back to part 10 in our... Ooh, my voice is not let go. Okay, so this is not a sound test. This is a framing test. Wardrobe. I'm going to change the hair because it irritates me. Just checking framing, lighting, etc. Is that framing better? A little bit closer. Hey guys, da 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 da. Warm up the voice, warm up the voice, warm up the voice, warm up the voice. This tea is good. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Let's do this. Hey there, and welcome back to part 10, the last part in our dance studies.